and things of that sort. So let me get on to my beautiful speech I have to make. All right. Welcome to the TC Passios Building Design Committee meeting. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast over the local public access channel. The town of Lunenburg, in response to COVID, is currently following the guidance from the Board of Health and the CDC regarding virus and steps communities can take to prevent the spread. All town facilities are currently open on a limited basis, in accordance with the governor's orders and provisions of the open meeting law. All public meetings are being conducted remotely. The following information, I'm not going to have to read that. This meeting will be recorded and be able to be found on the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel within 24 hours after the meeting. So I'm going to, at that point, I'm going to kind of call the meeting to order. And just to make sure, let's see who I've gotten today. If we want to say, just say here if you're here. So I was going to say Michael Ray.
I'm here.
All right, Brian.
Here.
Dave.
Here.
Okay, excellent. And we have our guest here today as well. So it looks like we have Katie Adams from the Board of Selectmen with us. And then I apologize if I forgot your name, but one of the folks from the public that's looking to have a chat with us. So I am going to first ask for public comments from the public. So if you'd like, since I see you're still unmuted, if you'd like to introduce yourself, mention your street address, and then let us know what you're thinking.
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if I was unmuted.
No
This
problem.
is Ron Delicio calling. I'm from 181 Reservoir Road. I emailed some questions to the committee last week, and it appears some of you may be away, so perhaps that's why I didn't get any response. I went online and looked at the floor plan that I could find for how the space was allocated in the building. The plan that I looked at was called the architects. It was under the architect's presentation, TCP building design presentation by architects. And what I found was the numbers were very difficult to read, and therefore I couldn't make the calculations that I was trying to make. The first thing I was trying to determine is what is the dollar amount per square foot for the renovation of TCP? And I couldn't determine if it was the entire 55,000 square feet being renovated. It appeared there might be a tiny section taken out of that. But if you do 18 million divided by 55,000 square feet, it's $327 per square foot. The next thing I wanted to know is what is the total number of square feet allotted for PAC? Their area was broken down into small sections, but it didn't give an overall, and I couldn't read the small numbers to determine the total amount of space they were allocated. And another question is, what is the total number of square feet being renovated for the extended day program? It appeared to me to be over 5,000 square feet. And another question, what is the total square feet being renovated for the town offices and storage? And what is the total number of square feet being renovated for what you would consider community space and or non-municipal purposes? And
Okay.
also, did I mention the school in there?
Yeah, you do, but you're going, if you're going a little quick, so if I can, it's going to take me a little bit to give you everything here.
Well,
Good.
Well, I didn't mean you had to answer them right this second, but do you see where I'm heading with these questions? I want to be able to break down the numbers.
Yep, I understand completely. So if you look at it, the classroom size is roughly 1,000 square feet.
Right. Yeah. If I remember correctly, TCP, it's about 925 square feet in a classroom, if I remember from when I was on PAC.
Right.
More
Our
than
space was about 9. I want to say at least our classroom, I believe, was like 925 square feet, but
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Mr. Black, can I direct Ms. Lizio where to go to get this information?
Sure, definitely.
All right. So if you go to the town website and then you go to the TCP design committee presentations.
That's exactly where I looked.
All right. And then
But like I said, the numbers on there were too small to read. I need a document that I can actually see the numbers on.
So if you go into,
Even if you print it, it doesn't come out right. You can't see it.
So if you go into the presentation by the architects, it's a PowerPoint presentation. And if you scroll down, if you scroll down to about, I don't know, slide number 8. So not slide number 8, it starts on slide number 7. And if you, and you know, this is again, it's full screen and it's half the screen is the numbers. So if you were to, print that out, you should be able to see it more clearly. If you look at it on the web, if you use a computer or an iPad to look at it, it also has the square footage of every individual room is on there, so you can see how much is for storage, how much is for.
Yeah, that's what I was having trouble seeing. I couldn't see the numbers. It was really difficult to see the numbers. Some I could, a lot I couldn't. It's just hard, you know. These Zoom meetings have been difficult. Typically, I would attend a meeting when I had these kind of in-depth questions. So I apologize, but I don't know, maybe in a large document online or something. I don't know. But I just feel it's a shame to, if there are people in the public that would like to crunch the numbers on the document, we should be able to do that.
Understand.
So that's my comment and my questions. So thank you.
Okay. I'm trying to building design report. All right. Well, we hopefully after this meeting that you'll are you going to stay for the meeting for a little bit, or what's your plans?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think you'll learn more at that point.
Okay. Thank you.
So I'll do one thing real quickly because it's part of the public record anyhow. So let me just do one thing that'll make life a little bit easier. And let me share a screen share. I always get in trouble when I do this, guys, but I will do it anyhow because I like being in trouble in this town. Okay. All right. Are you able to, are you on, oh, you're on the phone, so you're not online.
Yeah, so I can't see what you're doing anyway, so,
Okay.
but I can watch the meeting later.
All right. So the idea is that's one of your questions was like extended services, ACE, and storage for the school. That's roughly 9,000 square feet. PAC is roughly 3,000 square feet. Town offices encompass roughly 8,250, 8,245 square feet. And school offices are roughly special services, so about 3,000 square feet.
And she also asked about community use.
Oh, and community use is actually, we have close to 11,000 square feet, 10,800 and change that is dedicated to community use.
Okay.
So the idea is that there's 34,000, a little over 34,000 square feet of the building that's going to be reused, not including the lobby, the lobby areas and things like that, and the corridors.
39,000.
34,000. So I think in total, we said was like 55,000 square feet on the building.
when
So
you add in when you add in the hallways and the bathrooms and the boiler rooms, stuff like that, yeah, we end up at close to 55.
And this will
Yes.
all be in the final report that's going to be open to the public.
okay, so were we able to answer most of your questions? Or
Yeah, so the $327 per square foot was pretty accurate.
yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And that dollar amount, Ms. Lizio, is kind of what triggered us to consider, it's higher than the typical rebuild or build new cost. That's a relatively high cost per square foot to renovate. Whereas building
Right.
new, those costs we expect to be closer to a $275 mark.
Right. Typically, new construction is less expensive than renovation, but
Well,
you know,
Well, not
I
always.
kind of look at it as with the high price tag on a building that's not a historic building, where it might be more worth it to spend the extra money for a historic building.
Understand. So that's why we are as a committee, we've done through extensive work to try to make the most use out of the building and listen to as many stakeholders as possible and try to accommodate as many square feet and use every square foot we could. However, as a group, that's our biggest concern is we agree with you that the price is a little bit steeper than we were thinking per square foot.
Okay. All right. Thanks. That helped answer a lot of my
Okay.
questions anyways.
Okay.
Thank you.
Excellent. Glad we were able to help. That's what we're here for. Okay.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right. Any other comments from the public that we have? Or thoughts? Okay. I'll move on then to, well, basically we had the update for the architect. We've already know that. I didn't get anything from Greg as to, I think they're still working on the numbers for what it would be for something different. Oh, hold on. I have somebody in. I'll have to ask. Hi, Chris. Welcome to our meeting. I figured I was just passing by public comments from the public. I wasn't sure if you wanted to have a comment before we got into more of our details or not, or if just want to listen.
I was just gonna listen.
Okay. All right. Very cool. All right. Okay, guys. So I did not get anything from Greg saying that, that they have any new numbers from the architects as to what it would be, what the next phase, what the second article that we're proposing, what that number is going to be. So no new updates from them right now. So I'll move into now to the third thing, and that's, us preparing for town meeting. Let me preface, I sent out an idea for a presentation. The way I looked at it is, I apologize, I did not clarify myself well enough with you guys, but the idea on the presentation was to be more of having it in the background, and I would have speaker notes that would explain what each step was. So as far as the public and the handouts, that would be more in speaker notes, that they would get speaker notes talking about each one of, giving a little bit of details on the page, but instead of trying to have a piece of paper that you were actually reading, that you were you were basically reading a presentation. I was trying to show some of the exhaustive details of some of the exhaustive work that we did as a group, and the architect did as well. So I don't know if you want me to go through. I'm open to. I don't know if you guys had a chance to put it on presentation mode. I'm open to go through a little bit of it now if you want, but you let me know what you're thinking.
I think it would make sense to go through it.
Okay, thanks. All right, so let me do this, back to sharing. Screen one, share. Okay. So I apologize. I'm gonna for when I have the prepared for the town of Lunenburg, I'm gonna be looking to add our names and well the TC Passios committee here, or I was gonna look to put it on the side here, list the names of the members of the committee on this first sheet.
That's
Okay.
good.
All right. Let me just go through here. Why am I not changing here? Come on. I got too many screens open, so bear with me. All right, so the scope of work by the committee added your suggestion, Brian, of the adding the life expectancy of present structure and systems. And I need to add a comma there.
Yeah, I thought that was important just because people need to know
Oops.
that, a lot of these are at the end of the system, and that's why a lot of these costs are going to be a little higher.
Yes, agree. So this was the only slide where I really felt like putting bullets down because of it would have been easier there. And I want to really let folks dwell on some of the things that we did. So detailed interviews of the town and school department, as well as other groups interested in utilizing the space, multiple open meetings, identify and prioritize different uses and needs to design an effective and systematic floor plan to best utilize the present structure by accommodating as many groups as possible, and discuss both interior and exterior plans, looking to make sure that traffic flow, parking, access, and identification of departments was simple and consistent. And then I should say a detailed cost analysis. So cost analysis was created to an extensive and I'll change that wording. I can change that wording a little bit.
I think if
Okay,
you just
so
remove and detail, that'd be fine.
okay. Thank you. English, I didn't pay attention in typing class or in English. Okay. I'm an engineer. No, okay. All right. So the next slide was once again, now the idea was an overview of the present conditions. This is where I felt we would be the idea the speaker would talk about some of the things that we had done, and I would just let it play out, talking about looking at the outside structure of the building and the condition of the outside structure, the roof, the interior structure, some of the issues in the interior structure, the date of the equipment on there, some issues that we're having with leaking in the roof and other areas, and then go into an extensive looking at the exterior, looking at the existing floor plan, the existing footprint of the land, doing lead-based surveys, doing asbestos surveys to get a detailed idea there, a traffic input study, the idea of no sidewalks or the dangerous areas of traffic, and then an environmental site assessment coupled by a PSB materials, and just as I mentioned, just to kind of go through the extensive amount of work that was done in the report that we have today. Next, we go committee listen to all the stakeholders. Here we have an example of the comments from the architect and their interviews with they interviewed all of the different school building departments and other departments. We did a survey of what the square footage that they needed, what they would like, what the total area was. We looked at adjacencies. We looked at preliminary floor plans, looked at other design floor plans, and then finally came up with the floor plan that we're going to present to you today.
All right.
Then
Do you want to on that previous slide? I know that the idea behind some of this is not really is to demonstrate the amount of work that's gone into this, but I know that a lot of this isn't really readable. Do you want to on this slide go into detail with the different groups that were met with on here, or?
Yeah, that's what I felt. I felt like we could do that through through the speaker's notes. The speaker notes could be saying that all the different groups that we've talked to.
Okay.
Okay. I just, the idea is I was trying to stop from having a slide with a whole bunch of words. What I find when you're doing presentations, either people listen or they read, but they don't do both. So I was trying to stop it where they would just be sitting there reading, and then all you're doing as the presenter is reciting the slide.
Yep.
So,
no, I'm with you on that.
okay. All right.
What is the plan, I guess, or what are the thoughts for what the audience will have in front of them?
They'll have the speaker's notes along with the final floor plan and the cost analysis.
Okay.
So they would have all the pertinent details right there. Does that make sense?
It does to me. I think in previous town meetings, we've already provided a lot of this other documentation. So I think so I think for people who've been coming to the meetings, the residents who've been coming to the meetings, I think they've been able to follow along pretty well. So I think that makes sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
that makes sense. And we can also reference the 500-page document that they could look at for.
They can quickly download to their phone and look at during articles 1 through 20. Okay. Okay. All right. Then if I can continue here a little bit, actually, let me just do it this way. All right, so we have our ultimate goal was to maximize the space. I know you mentioned changing ultimate goal. I'd look for better phrasing there. I don't think I agree with you. Ultimate goal might not be the right word. Our charter was, I don't know if it's our charter or our,
I think just one goal or a goal.
okay. Or even priority was to max.
Yeah, priority. I like that.
Okay, and then where we started. And then going into the final design right here. So we looked at utilizing all the spaces here, talking a little bit of how we have the wing for the departments, the wing for the schools, the wing for community and PAC, and then a whole area for more for community down on the bottom. So what we tried to do is utilize, separate the building into specific functions as much as we could.
Maybe for priority was to maximize. Is it possible as the host, by the way, I keep to mute the non-members because I keep seeing that we're
There we go.
keep flicking over.
Gotcha. All set.
Perhaps a priority, instead of saying this priority was to maximize the space, to add on to that to meet current and future community needs.
Maximize space. Thank you. That's why we like extra folks here. And let me just shrink this down a little bit. So, okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Then we go into, so well, now we're going into the detail with the north wing for town and school offices. And then just as we go, we look at, we have in here, we have the assessor, conservation, board of health. Why isn't the rest of them moving on me? See, for some reason that didn't fly right, but it was supposed, for some, I'll have to see why that's not working, but you know, the idea, the rest of them would build up and then finalizing with the plan again on here.
Okay.
Then the north and central wing for school and community.
Do you think it would be helpful to use the on that previous to end your final slide being the colored version of that wing?
Yeah, I looked at, okay, fine. Yep.
Because I think that better explains the different functions that are being depicted here.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. Okay. All right, then we go into the north and central wings for the school and community use. And so we, why did it, once again, this didn't do, but why didn't it, hold on. For some reason, it's not building on me. You know how it is, whenever you do a presentation, it never comes out right. I'll fix this up, but what comes first is the community wing with the conference rooms, PAC, the Lions Club food pantry in there. And then what builds after that is the extended days, school use, community link, early learning, and ACE programs for there. Oh, and the multiple bathrooms. Can't forget about that, right? And then we have the south wing for meeting rooms and gym space. And here it just, this kind of depicted it all, where we have more conference rooms, a large meeting room for the Board of Selectmen and other large town meetings, as well as the gymnasium, and then the possibility for the kitchen as well. So we also looked at the exterior upgrades, including more parking and better traffic flow. This included adding extensive parking throughout the perimeter of the building to make it for easier access around the building, as well as including upgrading, including sidewalks around the building for emergency and other uses. And then we get into the final estimates. On January 26th, we received our first cost estimate of 21 million and change, $382 a square foot.
Dave, can we go back to that last slide?
Sure.
The traffic flow. I wonder if we add in some sort of language with like the required amount of parking that we needed, or
Okay.
some sort of like that we're not just making up parking just to add parking.
Yeah, Dave, if I could make one comment to that, I had sent Greg a message, and we need to be very sure that this building, the outer way out, was checked through the center district bylaws, because they are different. When we were talking about the parking requirements changing after town meeting, this parcel already comes under the 300 square foot per space bylaw, because it's in the center district bylaws already. Just be aware that we need to double check a few of these things and make sure that, that 150 parking space calculation was probably correct and required.
Okay, thank you.
So for language, I'm open to suggestions, but maybe include appropriate parking and better traffic flow.
Yes, I would say that would probably be better. Because it was the appropriate included.
Include required, could be even
or-
required parking,
I would include upgrades
either appropriate or required.
included.
I think required sounds good.
How's that? Additional required parking and better traffic flow?
Works.
Is it included or include?
Includes. How about?
Includes.
Yeah, all includes. I don't know. I'm gonna refer to my school committee member for that one now.
I was also thinking instead of better, maybe improve traffic flow.
Perfect. Okay. Okay. And here, the other idea was I'd revert back to it, but I was thinking about having some of the slides from the also showing the front, because I couldn't get it in the same single space. So the front area that we also, the front triangle,
Yep.
talking about that, showing that area as well.
Are you going to depict that side by side, or how are you planning, or is that going to be an overlay?
I'm not sure if I can do it as an it's tough to do side by side and keep this thing to a readable.
Okay.
Let me see what I can do here. Hold on. Bear with me a second here. Come on. See, no, these aren't the colored ones. Okay. All right. I'll have to look for it, but the colored ones, the difficulty was finding them, getting it so that you can read it
Yeah.
more than anything else.
Okay.
Let me see if this is the right one. Okay. Oh, here we go. Let me go back to that. All right, so I can, if I do a cut, cut, come on. All right. Look at this thing. Seeing, I need my I need kids to do this instead of me. They're quicker at this than I am. Okay. Will that work? Or is that too, does, or maybe hold on if I do it the other way around. How's that work? Is that,
I think,
does it
yeah, I
make,
think that depicts it. I would just bring the image on the left down maybe a little bit.
okay.
Um,
I can also, I can correct the image on the left and get rid of a little bit of the, a little bit more of the legend
yeah,
on right here. Pull that away so you can see more of the one on the
okay.
right. Okay. So I'll fix that up.
Yeah, you might even be able to just overlay the bigger one on top, and then it'll cover that up too.
It- yeah, it might be too big then. Hold on. Let's bring it to the front. Nope. Okay, I'll have to fix. Well, actually, that's not.
Yeah, that
That's
would work for you.
okay. Okay. Fact here. Let me do this. There we go. Okay. Okay.
Yep.
All
Perfect.
right. All right. Now down to brass tacks. So from there we go into working on a final estimate. January 26th, received the first cost estimate of $382.60 a square foot. We asked them to revise that and looked at areas where we could, for cost savings. And February 3rd, they came back with a $347 a square foot. And working even closer with them, looking for areas for additional cuts and not additional cuts, but additional cost savings. We received a final, best and final cost estimate of $334 a square foot. And at this point, I would just let it linger at that. Because do we need to do any details on here of what the breakup of this is, or just the final? I'm feeling the final number. If you want, we can include there's a slide from the architect's presentation that breaks this out more about what each time frame the different costs were. That's, if that's up to you guys, if you want to include that in the handout instead of this.
I think this is good, but I mean, I think as the next slide that we may want to go into detail about that $18 million. Because I think that we have to, part of the, I think, discussion with the town is educating in some areas, you know, that, for example, I think we have to talk about this level 3 trigger. And I think that the you know, having that slide up that shows where this money goes, I think it will be helpful. I'm sure some residents want to know what in the world, why are we at $18 million?
Right.
And if we can explain that, hey, you know, because of the critical system needs, right? That we have a plumbing system in there that's 69 years old, that we have an electrical system in there that's 69 years old, and that all these things need to be replaced, that in the process of replacing them, that you hit more than half the building. And so then that triggers a whole host of other requirements.
Yep.
And I think we have to spell that out, but I think we also have to explain that even if we don't do anything to this building and want to keep using it as it's currently being used, vacant, have packed there, that in order for this building not to fall the way of the primary building, that the town's still going to need to invest millions of dollars to keep it in its current use, you know,
Gotcha.
because of the cost of the roof, the cost of certain systems, and that, you know, and then also I think it becomes an opportunity to explain that if you have to spend X amount of millions of dollars on a roof just to keep the building as is, that once you change these building systems to upgrade it, you're gonna have to redo that roof all over again, because now you have to add in all that steel support, you have to make it resistant to earthquakes and all the other requirements. So I think that last slide really is like I said, residents are gonna, I expect other citizens, as we all were, to be shocked to say, what are we getting for 18 million? But like I said, when they can understand that, of what I think we were at about 6 million of this is just
Right.
level 3 trigger.
That agree. So that's why I wasn't sure if we wanted to just include this piece of paper that gave the
Yep.
details
Yep.
as part of the handouts.
What was the previous page? Was that another estimate?
The previous page is we even forgot about that. But this is total budget. That was an original thought that they had given to us. So construction value, this was additional things, and this also had in it for the soft cost of, which I think is utterly ridiculous, but this was the soft cost for office supplies, not office, you know, but like desks,
Yeah.
projectors,
Yeah.
everything like that.
Which, you know, we haven't even discussed any of that.
That's correct. That's correct. So that's why our number is lower, is, you know, $5,185 lower than this number.
Yeah.
So the soft cost, it was 28% of, they're estimating at 28% of construction cost. But the thought was to include this, I thought maybe including this sheet where, as you mentioned, Michael Ray, the structural steel, all these things that we had to be upgraded, thermal and moisture protection. These were huge expenses that were going to have to be done anyhow to this building, no matter what we do.
Yeah.
I forget where the roof was. I think the roof
Yeah,
was
roofing.
yeah. There you go. Roofing.
I think it's really, like I said, important for residents to understand that even if we don't do anything in this building to keep it standing, that we got to spend $6 million, period. And we're not getting any change in use out of it. It's just to keep it going. And I think that with that understanding, I think it makes a lot more sense that, you know, realistically, that we're looking at, you know, a much lower construction, a much lower cost to change the use of the building.
Right. Okay. As well as, yeah, this the simple thing of having to upgrade to putting a sprinkler system in, you know, upgrading putting a sprinkler system that meets code we're looking at $500,000 just for that.
Yeah, 3 million for HVAC,
Right. Right.
2 million for electricity.
And this would make sense to put in the handout too. So maybe it doesn't necessarily have to be a slide, but it's something you want to talk about and make note of it in their handouts.
Yes. Yes.
That would be good.
I figured in the handout, it gives people a lot of time to look at this thing, and if they have questions, they can ask questions regarding it, right? But, you know, in the end, we're saying that this number is higher than we feel comfortable with, right? That's in the end.
Yeah.
Never mind the soft cost of things.
And we could potentially put a slide in there too, where you talk about those major components: the roof, the plumbing, the electrical. Maybe we highlight, you know, the main categories.
Okay, so
Just
let
have
me
a
do
printout
that.
of the specific.
Okay. All right, so I'll do a slide here. Bear with me a second here. A new slide and say, just to maintain the building as is. And then, you know, repair, and then just listing some repairs that would be needed. And then, structural, roof, heating, electrical, and I'll just list the cost on these, electrical.
Yeah.
Let me change that. HVAC, windows and doors. Oops, would help if I can spell widows. Widows and doors, windows and doors, and what are the some of the other? But did I miss something for a big cost?
We're not seeing what you're
Oh,
writing.
sorry. I will go to the next one. There. So I was just going to list the pricing that we have for each one of these.
Plumbing.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if I'm good with the title either, because I want to kind of go through it's more of the budget, not so much the maintaining of the building. Like, where is that 18 million going? I think that's what we want to kind of have the direction for this slide.
Okay.
So
Can
maybe
you,
something like budget breakdown or
How about,
major categories, major
how about breakdown of major
renovations or renovation needed.
renovation costs? How's that?
Yep.
Okay.
And in the speaker notes, maybe this would be a good opportunity to explain what the different triggers are, what a level 3 trigger is.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you could put that in there too. Yeah, right on that slide. Fire protection system, hazardous
Right.
materials.
Okay, hold on. Repairs that would
Let
be
me see if I can
needed.
write that down.
Repairs that needed will require will trigger a level 3 renovation, or
Yeah, but I would run that wording through Greg. But yeah.
okay. Well, I'm gonna run it all through Greg anyhow, so yeah.
Can you go back to the slideshow?
Oh, can you see it now?
Oh, sorry.
That is the slideshow, but yeah. Okay.
I was looking at the document again.
Okay, sorry.
My bad.
Too many screens as well, huh? No,
Yeah,
okay.
right. Definitely. So I got fire protection
Yep.
systems.
Oh, shoot. What'd I just do? Oh, I did the wrong one. Bear with me. I didn't mean to do that. Now I got too many slides.
Hazardous materials. You have structural, we can add mechanical,
Okay.
and then security. Maybe that could be a high cost too. That was on that list.
Yep.
I don't know if all of those repairs would trigger level 3 renovations. I don't know if we wanted to reword how
Yeah.
I think you could even add level 3 renovation in the bullet as one of the bullets.
Okay.
Maybe it's at the end that, all these things are going to trigger a level 3 renovation. And then it's just repairs that would be needed. Or, yeah, I think even get rid of the repairs that would be needed. This is the breakdown of the major renovation costs.
Okay.
And then boom, level 3 is also one of those major renovation costs.
This one.
But I think it could be a bullet because it's going to be major renovation.
level 3 building requirement, however you want to phrase that.
Yeah, building requirements.
Okay. Okay. And then over here, I'll make do a list of the cost for each one based on the last numbers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you could, but also I think it could be in the handouts. Like they're gonna have that handout, say, of the breakdowns. Where I don't know if you want to busy the slides, you can, but I don't know if it's needed if they're gonna have that handout.
Yeah, I look at it maybe just this way. It's just the numbers just stick out to everybody.
Yeah.
You know, there'll be a lot of zeros showing for everybody.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, that's the thing that stuck out the most for us, right?
Yep.
I mean, you know,
Yeah,
$2,000 for
people-
electrical, $3,000 for HVAC or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's what's, you know, these numbers I think stuck out the most for us. I think, you know, HVAC systems, you're looking at $3,000, $3 million.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 3,000, I'd say, go, let's do it. Fire protection, just looking at that, we're looking at, you know, $433,000 for that, $500,000 for that. So, you know, the fixing the windows and getting everything up to code there was 1.5, almost 1.5 million.
Yeah, and the hazardous materials too. That's gonna be a big number.
Right. Thermal and moisture protection, another 1.5 million for that. And then, what was it? Hazmat remediation was $750,000. And then,
That's
so,
important. No. Yeah.
no, I think once they see the numbers on here, it's quite staggering of what's necessary. And most of us will start thinking we're doing the wrong thing. And I don't see it as, that's the only thing that I might have to take out some of them, we have security, but I'm not sure if I saw that as a separate breakdown on the electrical.
Might be in a separate category.
Yeah, I looked quickly. Masonry, steel, thermal, windows, doors, specialties. Man, toilet accessories, $45,000 for toilet accessories. That's some pretty fancy toilet paper holders, but I know everything now is ridiculous. So anyway, that was the whole, so seem okay, guys, for what what we're thinking?
Yep.
All right, I'll work on the speaker notes and get that done for the group and try to get that for everybody. I'll look to have it hopefully the other weekend for everybody, a little bit more information. All right, can I stop presenting this?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say, I'm welcome to, since you guys have seen it, but if anybody who's listening from public, if they want to ask any questions on this, or if their thoughts on what we showed them. Okay, no problem. All right. Okay. All right, stop share. All right, so I'll get that off to everybody. And let's see, what do we have next? All right, Brian, any minutes?
Yeah, I sent out this morning the April 7th minutes.
Oh,
Let
let me
They're pretty
check.
short.
Okay. Let me just do a quick check. Okay.
Yeah, Brian, I looked them over. The only thing that came to mind, and there's really no absolute necessity to make any changes, was the description of our conversation about the costs that MSBA would not cover, whether they were in this project or in a school building project.
Okay, I can be more
If
specific
you
on
could
that.
just take a look at it, I don't think there's any serious, real compelling need to change it. I would like to thank the Ledger. I read their article in the townwide distribution recently, and they nailed that part of it perfectly. So, thank you.
Thank you
Okay.
for that, Mr. Pastios. I think we all agree the ledger has done a pretty good job of summarizing these meetings for the general public. So thank you, whoever is writing for the ledger.
Yes. Ye- Excellent. All right, so I'll entertain a motion on the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
All right.
Second,
Okay. Mr. Passios in favor?
aye.
Okay. Brian?
Aye.
All right. Mr. Jeffries?
Aye.
And I say aye, so it's unanimous. Okay, because I still have to do change, I'm gonna move now to future meeting schedules. Well, correspondence to and from the committee, I apologize. We've tried to address as much as we can the letter that you wrote. I'll ask Mr. Roy to please respond as best we can, but you will start seeing more. Hopefully this, what we just showed you helped and talked about, helped you understand a little bit more about the questions you had in your letter. If I missed anything and if there's anything we can help with, just let us know. Future meeting schedules, do we need one before town meeting?
I mean, I don't think so.
Okay,
Is there any expectation we're gonna get a number? I had promised the finance committee a number for tomorrow night. And
I
thought we were
have,
getting that.
I understand. I have not seen anything from Greg. I would probably touch base with, might want to touch base with Heather on that.
Yeah, Heather's on vacation this week, and I was designated by the committee to be at the meeting tomorrow. I'm a little I'm a little surprised that that this discussion is taking as much time as it has been taking. Do you have Mr. Blatt any insight? I mean, I believe that there is some discussion going on between Heather and Greg about whatever number they initially threw at them, that we don't know that number, but do you have any, is there a specific date in mind in the next couple of days that we're going to get this? Because I mean, we're a week and some change away from town meeting.
I do not have any further information from, I have not received any additional correspondence from Mr. Roy on that.
All right. Well, Mr. Pastios, I don't see the benefit then in me attending the finance committee meeting tomorrow to talk about this if there's no number to talk about. So we'll just have to, I guess, just wait till town meeting for finance and for the select board to make recommendations.
Yeah, I agree, Michael. I'll just pass that message on and we'll deal with it on town meeting floor.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, and then we'll move on to the public comments. So I'll ask if there's any public comments from the public that they any questions or any comments you guys have at all?
Dave, I have one if there's none from the public. You've got one hand up.
Okay, go ahead. Oh, yes, please. I'm not good with the raised hand, so please just feel free to unmute and step right in.
Rhonda, go ahead. If you can unmute, there you go.
Hi, it's Rhonda Licio again. I just wanted to thank the committee for their work. I have to say, based on the numbers, I don't agree with the project. It's not a historic building, and we are under no obligation to keep this building standing until I think the year 2027. So, I think the task you were given was probably not the right task, as far as trying to add in all, other than just consolidating town offices. I see no reason that the school and town have to be in the same building. I just feel like the task, and I don't feel like we need all this municipal space. and especially not at the price tag we're talking about, to renovate it for things that we're not obligated to fund as a town. So unless the building was historic, and it's not. So I thank you for your work.
Okay, thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'd like to just address one thing that you mentioned, just so you know that the school space, the PAC, the extended daycare, the ACE program, and all those things, they need space anyhow. And that's the reason why we were accommodating them. So a lot of the building, what you're seeing in the building, it just made sense instead of having to add or, approaching folks about adding things to the schools or other or renovating something else for those functions. So they're utilizing the space today with the idea of expanding. And that's one of the reasons why you'll see that, at least a third of the building was for that other school activities.
Right, but I can point specifically to the extended day program. That is supposed to be a self-funded program.
Right, but we still
They're
have to,
using,
yeah.
I don't mind that they're in TCP, a building that's vacant, but as far as renovating space for that purpose when it occurs before and after school, I do have a problem with that.
Okay,
They should be
yeah.
incorporated into the school building somehow.
okay, understand.
But
And that's,
I approach it
understand.
as a taxpayer, and
Yeah.
I have, my mother-in-law pays taxes in this town. Why should she have to fund things that we aren't required to fund? So that's
Okay.
how I look at it.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, thanks for your comments.
You're welcome.
Any other public comments from the public? Any public comments from committee members?
Yeah, Dave Passios.
Yes.
Just commenting again and thanking another local publication on an interesting article that was in today's paper, Fitchburg Sentinel, page A3. It's basically a history of the Brooks House. Gives a very, what appears to be accurate description of the chronological events that happened with that property. But it also mentions that that property was purchased along with the additional 9 to 12 acres, whatever it is that the Passios building is on. Excuse me. And from 1952, 51 to 53, excuse me, the town spent $1.23 million to build that entire school from the ground up. So we've got that was a hell of an investment. And even if it doesn't serve us going forward, we really got our money's worth out of that building.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes, Mr. Jeffries.
Yeah, I have a public comment as well. So, I mean, it's somewhat in response to Ms. Lizio, her comments tonight. So I think that there's a lot of history that's happened over the last couple of months. I think when I joined this committee, I think and I don't want to speak for everyone else, but I think that there was a full expectation that that last wing of the building would be torn down. I think that I think that there was an expectation that we'd end up with, one wing for town offices and a central wing for kind of community uses. And a couple of things, to highlight a few things that came out during this process was, the Boys and Girls Club, which is an expanding organization and it meets a critical need in town, but is not technically a town function. They came to several meetings to request more space, identifying that they have a growing population that has multiple needs. We heard from many different members of the community who basically said, look, the town takes care of people who are under 18. They do a I job with people who are over 55, and everybody in between they don't really have any community space. And so what came out as a need or really a request was the farming community, I think, vocalized the benefit of having a commercial kitchen. that they could utilize that would help promote local businesses, and also, helping people create their jams and jellies and other items. We heard about the need for there to be meeting space for visiting lecturers, for different organizations in town, nonprofits that don't currently have that meeting space. And then the schools, the superintendent of schools came to several meetings, and she vocalized the need for more space for extended day program, and how the extended day program is critical to parents' ability to get their kids to and from school. That they need a place to be before school, they need a place to be after school. And I think that we had a lot of pushback against the schools. And I think most of the members pushed back to say, hey, is there another space in town that you guys could utilize? What about the Ritter building? Like if the Ritter's left vacant, could you occupy the Ritter building? What about Town Hall? Could you occupy that space? What about the schools? Is there space inside of the schools to have this extended day program, before and after? And I think the result that we all heard was that without more space, planning for future needs as well for the community, that they'd be at the point of turning people away. And I think that some of our decision making and prioritizing what ended up into the final design, in part, was based on making sure that ultimately parents need to be able to educate their children, and anything that we can do to facilitate that process as a community is right. I mean, we all come together to help pay for the education, but if the parents can't get to work to be able to take care of their family because they just need that extra hour on either end, that this then was an opportunity to resolve that. But I think we also considered who will be paying rent. PAC, if they're in the building, they will fund portions of the renovations, and they pay. Extended day pays. And so there is some ability for the town not to have such an elevated cost of maintaining the space with those programs. So, I mean, I know that I think we all came into this again with the expectation of a smaller footprint. And I don't want to be too long-winded here. I think we all came in with the expectation of a smaller footprint. But in communicating with the community and seeing where the needs are, and then thinking, well, once the town builds a building, when was the last time the town built a building for municipal purposes? 140 years ago, roughly. And I don't think the town even built it then, it was donated. So the town we don't have a good history of replacing buildings. So as we look at building or renovating a space, I think the idea, the concept was to meet the needs for now and the immediate foreseeable needs that we can see coming up in the future. But I think all of us are at a point where when you're looking at a square footage of $350, roughly $340 a square foot, and those of us in the industry and even those without, we all know that that's higher than the cost to build new. That's why I think this committee is at the point where we're saying, look, we have this charge. I think we're able to go to town meeting with these numbers and say, hey, why don't you guys approve it? But the prudent thing to do is to say, let's give you a realistic number for, because this isn't a historical building, if this were to be built new, what it would cost. I know that in town, there are going to be some conversations about, is this the appropriate location? About, does that make sense? And I don't think that those questions necessarily aren't going to be answered, but I think it's important, since the town has already invested funds into this project, they've given a charge that for us to look at town, school, and community uses, and that's what we've all had a focus on, that it seems like the logical next step is to, before we ask the town to spend what we think is above market rate for renovating a building, to be able to say, and here's what it would cost to do it new. And I think we all have an expectation as well that a new building wouldn't have the same footprint, that there are efficiencies that come with building new. Because essentially what we're doing is we're taking an old building and meeting the current building code. And so you have a building structure, a building envelope that has to be maintained, but meanwhile, you got to gut the whole insides, reinforce a roof, add a whole bunch of steel, so that way it's earthquake proof and a whole lot of other stuff. But a new design would likely be multi-stories. It would be a smaller footprint. It would be more energy efficient than what we can achieve in this building. And ultimately, we expect the cost to be lower. So I appreciate, this is a community purpose. We're all taxpayers here. But even if we weren't taxpayers, every resident in Lunenburg who's a registered voter has a say in what goes on in the community. And I hope that we can, at the end of this, there's been a lot of work. Hope at the end of this, we can get to a product that certainly, 100 people aren't 100% aren't going to sign on to, but that the rest of the community can appreciate and make an informed decision about what the best pathway forward is.
Thank you, Mr. Jeffries.
Sorry for taking like 10 minutes to say that.
That's okay. That's okay. We allow members of the public to, speak whatever they like. We're excited to have the members of the public with us. The last thing we've wanted to be is to feel like we're working in a vacuum here. We've tried to be open and transparent about everything we've been doing. Okay, excellent. Any other comments from the board or from the public? From the committee members? Sorry, committee members, not a board, committee members. All right, excellent, guys. Hearing none, then I'll move to our next thing. I'll entertain a motion.
Just a motion to adjourn.
Yes.
I move to adjourn.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right. In
40
favor,
people.
Mr. Passios?
Aye.
All right, Mr. Layton?
Aye.
All right, Mr. Jeffries?
Aye.
Excellent. Aye for me. Guys, I thank you very much. Public Ledger, Katie, thank you. Ms. Adams, I thank you very much for joining and look forward to communicating even more with you during town meeting.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks. Good night, everybody.
Good night.